I, 16F, don't want to live with my dad/step family anymore because my stepbrother, 16 meters, has been perving on me and I feel uncomfortable. I still don't know what to do/say. I wasn't sure whether to post my story/question here or at Am I the Beehole. I ended up going there, but they said my problem was too big for that sub and to come here. So here I am. Okay, backstory I guess. I met Mike when we both started middle school. He's had a crush on me since I could remember and didn't try to hide it. It was a running joke with friends/classmates that he was in love with me because he would constantly buy me snacks/drinks, pay for my lunch before I could, give me tons of gifts on Valentine's Day like stuffed animals and flowers, and generally take any chance he could to be close to me. He'd regularly ask me out at least once every week or so. It made me uncomfortable, but I just kept politely telling him no, I wasn't interested in dating him or any other guys. I found out that was because I'm a lesbian. Well, sometime before I was 14 my dad told me he'd been seeing a nice lady for a while and they'd hit it off and were going to be getting married. This was pretty shocking, the marriage part, not the dating part. My dad's not super subtle, but I was happy for him. He'd been pretty down since he and mom separated when I was 10. I'd been living with both mom and dad 50-50 until my last years of elementary school when mom had to move for work. I got along better with dad, so I stayed with him so I wouldn't have to move. I still see mom every summer too. So before I'd turned 14, dad's fiance, Abby, moved into our house with her son Mike. Dad said she had a kid my age, but he'd never said it was Mike, and now he and I were forced to live together. Mike was beyond happy that we lived together and took every chance to be around me constantly. The only place I'm safe from him is my bedroom because there's a lock. He constantly wanted to hang out as new step siblings, but everything he wanted to do was date/couple stuff, going to the movies, getting food alone, studying alone, etc. It was mentally exhausting being around him almost 24 hours a day. And whenever I'd refuse to sit by him, or hang out with him, or play nice with him, his mom would gripe to my dad that I was being argumentative and rude. This led to my dad talking to me like the problem was with me. He'd tell me blended families were tough to navigate, but me being difficult wasn't making things easier. He said if Mike was willing to try to build a bond, then I should be too. And I'd be forced to sit by Mike while we watched movies together as a family, and it made me feel crazy. Well, not too much later I happened to catch Mike talking on mic with his online game friends, and he was talking about me and how we were both basically dating, and it made me so mad. I stormed into his room and yelled at him that we weren't dating and he was creepy to keep trying to date me after I told him no 100 times, on top of us being step siblings now. I thought he'd muted his mic, but I was wrong because his friends all started laughing at him and one called him sick and he yelled at me to get out. I didn't. Things got easier after that. He'd stopped hanging off me all the time and left me alone. Things were easier, nicer at home, and I was happy. But then sometime after I turned 14 and our parents were married, those gross "what are you doing stepbro" memes got really popular, I guess, and Mike found them and all his creepy behavior came back, but worse. He sent me some messages of the memes and said they were lol so funny and wouldn't stop bringing them up. He refused to call me anything besides stepsis and told me to only call him stepbro. He wouldn't respond to anything else. Living with him became unbearable. He'd be creepily flirty and say gross suggestive stuff to me when our parents weren't home. He'd also put stuff on high shelves so I would have to stretch to reach, or put stuff of mine in weird places like inside the dryer/washing machine or similar places. I felt like I was living in hell. Then we were all stuck at home together, you know why. And it wasn't so bad. He's not overly gross or obnoxious when Dad or Abby are around, so it was a temporary peace. But then Dad had to go back to work when stuff sorta chilled out, and Abby was still working from home, but she was in her office all day, so I may as well have been alone with Mike all the time. I've been locking myself in my bedroom all day since that's the only time I get to not deal with Mike. At the start of this year I began dating my GF cat, and I eventually told her about Mike, all the weird shit he does. his creepy behavior, the stepbro meme, everything. She knew about him being into me from school, and she said I should ask Reddit, and then I went to that other sub, but now I'm here. I wanna go live with my aunt. She said I could stay with her, but I haven't told her why exactly I want to leave yet, and I know I need to tell her why I'm so desperate to leave home, but it's so embarrassing. I don't think I can just come out and say my stepbrother is perving on me. Has been for like 2 years by now. How do you talk to an adult about weird porno references, step-sibling fetishes, harassment, etc.? But I have to tell her, and I'm hoping once she knows she can help me tell Dad and Abby. I'm dreading telling my aunt. There's no way I'd be able to talk to my dad or Abby alone about this crap. I'm just not sure how to begin. Anyone got any solid advice? I'm stuck and uncomfortable and don't know how to take the next step. Did you save any messages or anything like that? If not, I would start saving all the messages and record him next time. Then I would talk to your aunt. Explain everything and don't leave any detail out. Ask her to be there with you when you speak to your dad and Abby. You have a right to feel comfortable in your home. I'm sorry this is happening. I saw your post on Twitter. Gather all evidence you can. Record how he creepily flirts with you. Screenshot suggestive texts. Print it all out. Call your aunt and ask your father and stepmother to come into the room. Email your aunt and the evidence. Say you have a problem with living there currently and wanted a third adult witness. Begin with saying Mike had a crush on you in school. He's joked to your friends about you two dating, and he's using porn references to you about the step-sibling trope. That should get their attention. Say you are not comfortable living at the house anymore and want to move out. It can be with your aunt, or with your mother. If they aren't taking you seriously, call your mother and get a new arrangement set up through the courts. Would you have to move? Yes. And that would suck. But so would having to live with a guy who wants to sleep with you and thinks it's cool and trendy to because of porn. You clearly know how you feel in regards to Mike and that he is making you uncomfortable. That is no way a healthy environment to live in. I think confiding in your aunt would be a great first step. Just to get someone, an adult, to be there for you and support you when you do get around to talking to your dad. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable in your own house and Mike is not respecting you or your wishes. It is behavior that will not and should not be tolerated in any circumstance, and he needs a serious wake-up call. Oh honey, you need to tell a trusted adult as soon as you are able to. This is mentally exhausting on you and has been for quite some time. It sounds like you've been doing everything you can to stay safe, and I'm glad you've got Kat in your corner. Are you in school? Do you have a guidance counselor? Do you and your mother have a good relationship? Is she an option? Or are you leaning towards your aunt because she is local? I think telling your aunt could be a great step. You feel unsafe in your own home and have felt that way for quite some time. I know there's a lot of weird feelings about this, but you don't have anything to be embarrassed of. Rooting for you, 2 hearts. My 25F husband, 37M, wants his creepy, sexually manipulative friend, maybe 40M, to baptize our baby, and I feel sick about it. Hi everybody. I admit, I am not familiar with this sub and haven't been on Reddit in years. I just really need advice. I'm going to try to explain this mess as best I can, but it really is a mess. I appreciate your time and attention in advance. My 25F husband, 37M, is the greatest man ever. He is incredibly kind, generous, intelligent, and loving. On top of this, he is an adorable nerd, which to me is a great quality. His dorky jokes are my favorite thing, but means he was bullied a lot as a child, is not terribly socially confident. He is definitely a follower, not a leader. I think all these qualities are relevant to the current situation. To begin at the beginning, at the time I met my husband, I was struggling with an addiction to prescription medication which I had developed while studying at a very competitive college. By the time I started dating my husband, it was getting impossible to hide the fact that I had a serious problem. While he was incredibly supportive and encouraged me to seek help, I was ashamed. So, I lied. I told him that I was already seeking professional help and that I was really getting better, when in reality I was just trying to go cold turkey and shove all the emotions down until they went away. Author's note: This is not a good strategy. I immediately felt awful about this, which just made me more reluctant to come clean. At this time, my husband introduced me to his old childhood friend, whom I'll call A. He is a Catholic priest and was staying with my husband at the time. Both A and my husband are from a Catholic country in Europe. Both of their families are part of one of those charismatic movements, which is like a very close-knit, conservative church group. Because A was always the cool and confident guy growing up, my husband worshipped A. He talked A up to me and was insistent that I talk to A alone about my addiction problems because he sincerely believed A could help with my recovery. I met with A total of 4 times over the course of 1 week. All these meetings took place in my husband's apartment when my husband was out. During the first session, he seemed nice and helpful, and, because I was feeling so bad about lying to my husband, I pretty much fessed up to him straight away. Basically from this point forward, A creeped me out. I don't know how to explain it other than to say he was constantly looking at me like I was food. I think I will remember this next part till the day I die. It was so awful. During our 4th and final session, who asked me a series of questions about the kinds of sexual things I had done with my husband, who was at that time still my boyfriend. When I told him honestly that we didn't do anything physical other than hug and kiss, he laughed and said that my husband was always so bad with girls and if I were used correctly I would be much happier and my addiction issues would go away. I was just kinda dumbstruck. He moved closer to me and said, verbatim, think about it this way. God does everything for a reason, and he made you very sexually attractive to please men. Isn't it wrong that you're not using your gift correctly? Does it not follow that you would feel more fulfilled if you did use it correctly? At this point, my brain was screaming nope, so I told him nope, with my mouth too. Right away, he got hostile and threatened, in a whole lot more words, to expose my lie to my husband if I didn't have sex with him. Yeah, nope. I didn't hesitate to tell my husband about my lie and about his backstabbing awful friend. I'm so grateful my husband believed me and that he gave me a second chance. My husband, being always an upstanding citizen, reported the incident to A's home diocese in Europe, which put him on indefinite leave. I'm pretty sure this is Catholic for fired because he's a fucking creep. This was 2.5 years ago. In the meantime, I got professional help. We got married, and are now expecting a baby. Before the virus, my husband got a grant to work on a project near his old hometown, where A's passing his time in leave, so we're all living in the same area. I took it for granted we weren't talking to A. My husband was very upset by everything that happened and I specifically remember him saying I never want to see that man again. Yesterday evening, however, my husband casually mentioned when he was getting out of the shower that he looked forward to playing soccer with A and his brothers in the summer, when the virus had passed and our baby was born. I stayed calm and asked him what the hell he was talking about. He said he didn't want to tell me at first, but A had reached out to him via his family when we first arrived in the area and apologized for what he'd done. They've been talking and texting for months now, and according to my husband, A is so happy that his actions didn't hurt our relationship, as in, my husband's relationship with me, and is looking forward to baptizing our baby. My husband's basic reasoning here is that everybody deserves a second chance, and that all is well because A humbled himself enough to apologize. Yeah. Hell to the fuck no. This man is not getting anywhere near my baby. Not only was he gross and manipulative, he also tried to use religion to justify it, which I think means he is the last person who should be involved in a baptism. Also, I may be judgmental here, but I don't believe for 1 second that A is really sorry. On the other hand, I have also benefited from my husband's everybody deserves a second chance policy, and I feel hypocritical telling him this guy doesn't deserve a second chance. My husband seems to show some kind of understanding that I would be upset by this, as he was pretty sheepish about explaining the situation, but he also just seems to think I'll get over it. What the hell do I do here? Can I forbid A from ever getting near my baby? Edit, adding some helpful timeline information. My stepmom moved in today, and she's trying to change everything, and I'm 15M, already hating it. So my stepmom moved in today. My dad and her aren't married, but since she's living with us now she's my stepmom I guess. I've never liked or disliked her, we just couldn't existed when she was over. Well now that she moved in, she's being a bossy bitch. Like, I'll respect you, but don't think for a goddamn second you are my parent. If you tell me to do my chores, I'll do them. That's about all the authority you have over me. I don't have a bedtime. My mom and dad both think I'm responsible enough to decide when I should go to sleep. It's that way at both houses. But this bitch is out here telling me I need to go to bed by 2 on weekends and 11 on weekdays. Like fuck off. And she tried telling me I can't go to my friend's house. Like it's not your decision. My dad and I have a thing where I just tell him I'm leaving and what time to expect me back. And rarely he tells me I can't go. And if he does it's for a valid reason. But for some reason this woman thinks she gets to tell me when I can and can't leave my house. I still went to his house and when I get back home she was bitching about how I disrespected her and disobeyed her and how she cooked dinner for me and shit. I didn't disobey shit. You can't disobey someone who doesn't have authority over you. And my dad has just stayed neutral this whole time. And it's literally this woman's fucking first night living at our house. And she acts like I'm her fucking property or some shit. Like how the fuck does my dad like this woman? Cause if this is how she treats her boyfriend's fucking kid, she can't treat him nice either. I go to my mom's on Sunday, so at least then I'll have a fucking break from the bitch. If you can't tell, I'm very pissed off. So sorry for all the cussing and stuff. Anyway, does anyone have any idea on what the hell to do? Edit. So I'd just like to add, as I just woke up and from just scrolling through the comments, I'd like to address the whole bedtime situation. There's a lot of you I don't think understand my perspective. See it as disrespectful. Why? Because she doesn't know anything about me and thinks her judgment is more important and better than the trust that my dad has in me. It's not the fact that I actually have a bedtime, although it is kinda annoying, it's what it represents. I see what she is doing as disrespectful to me and my dad. I think it is disrespectful of the relationship, trust, responsibility, and rules me and my dad have already set. And I don't like to be disrespected, it's just how I am. I hope this explains this some more. Also, although I really appreciate all the advice, and I have and will read every message that comes in my inbox, I do not think I should respond to all the comments anymore. But I sincerely do thank you guys, and I might make an update depending on how this goes. And I don't call her bitch to my dad or her. I do call her by her first name. Final edit. I'm writing this edit at 2:10, and I have written a few notes and my dad and his GF are both home, so I am planning on telling them around 2:30. So I'm going to talk to them soon. Basically what I've decided to say is, I'm sorry for being such a dick yesterday, but I saw you as being disrespectful for doing XYZ. And if it is okay with both of you, I don't want you to act like a parent. You can be caring and we can have a new start when I come back. But if there are any rules you'd like to change, I'd like for you to either sit me down and talk about it, or have my dad tell me. I shouldn't have reacted the way I did, but this is why I did, even though it still doesn't justify how I acted. So depending on how it goes, and if you guys want it, I will do an update maybe.